And can I just say, you know, even though I'm not entirely comfortable at times with the way they sensationalize in their promos, because I thought the promos for our story were a tad over the top at times.
What you're seeing here is momentous.
You think that's alien technology?
Yes, I do.
I thought the promos for our story were a tad over the top.
We have new, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
Tad over the top at times.
Is it possible to exceed the speed of light? The answer is yes.
The biggest discovery in human history.
Promos for our story were a tad over the top.
New evidence that has to be seen to be believed.
7 News Spotlight, Sunday on 7 and 7 Plus.
Not entirely comfortable at times with the way they sensationalize in their promos, because I thought the promos for our story were a tad over the top at times. I probably would be more cautious about in terms of how we present it is the sphere story, for the simple fact that we just don't know yet whether it is or it isn't non-human technology.
We have new, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
Frankly, whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that.
We have new, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
This renowned scientist confirms it all.
Whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that because that's a terrible danger.
We have new, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
A lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology. We're not going to say that.
Alien technology.
This renowned scientist confirms it all.
We're not going to say that.
New, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
This renowned scientist confirms it all.
We're not going to say that, for the simple fact that we just don't know yet whether it is or it isn't non-human technology.
Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome back. I am here after a bit of absence, which I'll explain later. Tonight, however, we are here to talk about this ongoing Ross Coulthart story. For those unaware, Ross Coulthart was once I guess some would call him a respected, credible journalist from Australia. But Mr. Coulthart got a little too deep down the rabbit hole for reasons that we will cover tonight. And since then has been selling lies. in a recent piece that we detailed here, he promised the world that they had conclusive proof of alien technology, all brought to us all confirmed by this man. Cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. The deception ran very deep. And that clickbait garbage piece was so bad, so terrible, and I think partly due to our coverage here, that News 7, his latest employer, would pull that from the YouTube channel. And Ross Coulthart would pull it from his own Spotlight News 7 YouTube channel. But Ross Coulthart would go further, knowing that he had gone a little too far, over-promising and under-delivering this time. But was this really the first time that Ross Coulthart has over-promised and under-delivered? I don't believe so. And we're going to detail more of his fakery, fraudery, and bull huckstering tonight. Incredible that this man was once somebody people knew in Australia. Because Ross Coulthart was once a 60 Minutes reporter before diving headlong into the world of aliens and UFOs for cash. And we're going to get into the reasons tonight. The reasons, my friend, that this once respected journalist is now huckstering garbage, fake alien stories, fake UFO stories. Just in that promo alone, we saw 2 provable balloons that he's claiming is aliens, or alien spaceships somehow. We get the false promise that they have conclusive proof of alien technology, confirmed by, it depends on who you ask. Michio Kaku is the person that they show in the promos when Ross Coulthart does the voiceover, saying, all confirmed by this man. Michio Kaku in the piece proves nothing. He does what Michio Kaku is good at: theoretical physics and astronomy and astrobiology. Yeah, there could be alien life somewhere out there in the universe. Great, Michio Kaku. That's not conclusive proof of alien technology that Ross Coulthart promised that you were confirming, because Michio Kaku knew nothing about all of this, in my opinion. And he was used as a set piece, just as one Dr. Gary Nolan was used to sell this fairy tale. And now Gary Nolan is running around on other podcasts, pardon me. He won't come here because Gary Nolan is an intellectual weakling and a coward, and he does not want to answer simple questions that we have for him here. Like, does Stanford University know that you're using their labs, personnel, and equipment to help a disgraced Australian journalist, Ross Coulthart, sell fake stories about aliens and UFOs? Does Stanford University know that he's coming there and filming garbage clickbait videos that were so bad they had to get pulled from YouTube because of the use of deceptive editing and deceptive practices to get people to click on a piece that didn't have anything that was promised in the promos? Does Stanford University know that you're making students do work to help UFO grifters sell stories about aliens and UFOs? No, Gary Nolan won't come here, but he will go to UFO circle jerk shows, though, right? He'll go to UFO circle jerk shows. You know, those shows that will just let him. Now it's being reported that Dr. Gary Nolan had 3, count them, folks, 3 alien experiences. Yeah, how and why, I think, .com took things that he said, and hey, it's great. It's things that he said from an interview with UFO circle jerker from the debrief extraordinaire, Chrissy Newton, who also happens to work with or for Ryan Sprague, UFO circle jerker extraordinaire. And just like Ryan Sprague, Chrissy Newton's job is apparently to sit there and nod and just let people tell their fake stories. Don't ask them for evidence. Don't ask them for, any proof. Just let them sell their fairy tales. And I had a recent interaction with this girl and told her she's got to ask him some hard questions. Did she ask them? No. But she did help him explain away his participation in the Ross Coulthart ball shavings thing. But we'll be covering that on a separate broadcast, right? And I just want to say, I am tired of these UFO circle jerkers. Why don't you do your job? Ask some questions. This man, Gary Nolan, is using university equipment, students, personnel, and resources to help Ross Coulthart sell a video, a story that was so bad it had to be taken off of YouTube, lest they might lose their YouTube channel for the use of deceptive practices. And you, UFO circle jerker extraordinaire, did you ask any hard questions? No. You didn't ask about the ethics problems of a university professor using university resources, personnel, labs, and equipment to help idiots sell fake stories about aliens. You didn't ask about any of that. But we'll cover more of this tomorrow. But I've just had it, right? And I told her, and I'm telling everybody, all of you UFO circle jerks are now on the table, right? Before I would ignore it, I would just go, that's just the way it is. People like Chrissy Newton and Ryan Sprague and all these other circle jerkers calling all beings Project Unity, right? They're there to help the grifters advertise their fake nonsense. That's their function. That's what they're there to do. They're not going to ask any hard questions or you can't expect these people to demand that these people prove what they're pushing, what they're huckstering for the UFO dollars. They're not there to do that. They're there to simply help the UFO celebrity idiots push that bull cart up the hill, right? And they're there to help these UFO celebrities jam fake stories down everybody's throat and into everybody's ears. That's what they're there to do. And congratulations, Chrissy Newton from the Debrief, which is a garbage rag. It's supposed to be science and technology. Yeah, science and technology news. Sure it is science and technology news. Great. I am at a loss when I think about the state of these UFO circle jerkers and how their whole point of existence is to sit there, nod, and act like that these people are telling the truth or these people have any evidence of their claims. But I'm the bad guy, right? You're the bad guy if you point these things out. You're not supposed to point these things out. And it gets worse. It gets worse because if you say anything to the UFO circle jerkers, then you're nasty. I'm nasty because I want you to do your job and ask real questions. You got Gary Nolan using university resources. We asked very real questions here, like, does the university know that they're paying for you to help UFO grifters sell fake stories? Do they know? Is that against the Stanford Code of Ethics? Looks like it is, because according to Stanford Code of Ethics, you're not supposed to use university equipment, labs, resources, or personnel for personal profit. And here's another question. How much does Gary Nolan get paid for all the help that he's giving UFO grifters like Stephen Greer or this Ross Coulthart sell these fake stories? How much is he getting paid? Not one of you has the balls to ask him how much he got paid for the documentary work with Stephen Greer for the analysis work? Not one of you idiots interviewing Gary Nolan can grow a set of balls and ask if he got paid, because then we'd have confirmation that he's in violation of the Stanford ethics codes. No one wants to do the hard work. They want to sit there and take the benefit of these UFO celebrities being on their show, right? I'll take the clicks and views, and all you have to do to make that work is sell your soul. You just have to sit there and play pretend. Oh, sure, there's alien technology out there, sure. So I've had enough of the UFO circle jerk. And from now on, Chrissy Newton, tomorrow I'm going to do a whole show on your circle jerk. Great job, honey. Great job, Debrief, you bunch of clowns. But why, I suppose, should we expect these people to do their job? Why should we expect credibility in a field or a subject matter that is literally a circus full of criminals, disinformation agents, people with fake superpowers, people going to Mars to fight the reptilian aliens, secret space program insiders, government whistleblower, former scientists that weren't really scientists ever, can't prove they're scientists, former military insider, and then you check into his background and find out he never worked for the military. He was never in the military. He lied about his entire background. You know, this is the fundamental part of the problem, is that I'm somehow expecting people to do this the ethical, moral, and correct way. And granted, I get it. If you're going to deal in these strange, esoteric, and murky subjects, you're going to meet some strange characters. Some of them might have credible information, but it is up to the people pushing the stories to vet those people. Nobody vets anything. Just let them get up and tell their fake stories, like Jimmy Church with his fake Dr. Reed or Dr. J, third phase of moon satellite idiot, right? Oh, he's one of our UFO experts. He can't tell the difference between a real doctor and a fake doctor. Awesome. So, you know, I suppose part of the problem is when you step back and realize that this whole thing is full of criminals, grifters, con artists, scammers, and then under that, right, you have the main perpetrators of all this UFO and alien conning and money making going on. And underneath that is an underbelly of clout chasing, wannabe famous bunch of people who worship these UFO celebrities, right? Who make excuses for their fakery, fraudery, and bull. You know how many emails I got yelling at me, telling me what a terrible person I am because we cover something like Linda Moulton Howe using provably 100% fake pictures of aliens to sell stories that aren't true, claiming they're true. And then I'm the bad guy because we can prove she used 100% provably fake pictures. And she made thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars doing that. And I checked, we made $22 for telling people the truth. And Linda Moulton Howe made maybe $10,000 selling that last fake story we caught her selling. But remember, I'm the bad guy. And then you got to add to it, because then people have the balls to say to me, well, your channel's monetized, Stephen. You're making money too. We are making, pennies on the dollar of the grifters to expose the grifters. It is completely different. And besides this, I was very unfortunate in that my father passed away when I was very young, but I'm lucky for all the time that I did have with him. And he taught me that an honest day's work is nothing, to be ashamed of. And he tried to teach me that sometimes that work is not going to be exciting. Sometimes that work is not going to be very profitable. But if it's an honest day's work, then you had a good day today as a man. What are these people, right? Are they so averse to actually working for a living that they just think, well, we'll just sell fake alien stories. We'll just do that, right? And then you have all of these enablers and these grifter facilitators. What do you think? All of these, there's 100 UFO and alien podcasts that do nothing but the circle jerk. By the way, I guess, what is that? What is his name? The most recent person to give Ross Coulthart the UFO circle jerk is Dave Scott, right? Spaced Out Radio. He is literally just letting that guy say anything. No pushback, no making him answer or be accountable for how he just defrauded the public. But remember, I'm the bad guy here. And by the way, Ross Coulthart being on Spaced Out Radio is proof positive that Ross Coulthart is an intellectual weakling and a coward who won't come here and answer real questions, because he can't use the excuse that Dave from Spaced Out Radio has better numbers than us because I could show you a spreadsheet. No, he doesn't. So Ross Coulthart will go on that show and get the circle jerk, but he won't come here with similar or better numbers, because we're going to ask him hard questions about his ball shavings, right? So we're going to get into this tonight. And I want to thank Charlie Weiser as well, because I wasn't aware. I had heard some rumors about where, ask around a little bit, like, where did this Australian guy come from, right? And people were like, oh, he was on 60 Minutes. And I go, wow, that's a little weird. Because I can't imagine somebody on 60 Minutes suddenly going, I'm just going to start selling fake stories about aliens. I'm going to super hype up and manufacture clickbait garbage pieces that are so bad they have to be taken down so we don't lose our channel. After we get the money, we'll just take it all down, right? Took down all his tweets. But it is interesting. He was a 60 Minutes reporter. And it would appear that he is no longer a 60 Minutes reporter. And we're going to get into why tonight. But before we do, I want to remind everybody that we have a new and powerful broadcast distribution system. Something that we've been working on for quite some time. And right now we want to welcome all of you live viewers, live listeners. We are broadcasting live on my Facebook page. It's Stephen Cambion on Facebook if you want to follow me there. Also on the Truthseekers page on Facebook, broadcasting. Just search for Truthseekers on Facebook. We're broadcasting live, of course, on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey. And tonight we welcome new distribution partner and distribution point, DLive. So welcome to all our new friends over on DLive. We have a DLive Truthseekers channel as well. And I want to mention also that although we are vastly expanding our distribution, the audio podcast is available everywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Truthseekers. Look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses. And we will also be having the replays the next day. So the very next day after a live broadcast, you can catch Truthseekers on BitChute and now Brighteon as well. And you can always catch the replay on any of the platforms I mentioned previously: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and DLive. For DLive, there was some confusion about whether it archives shows. I believe that it does, but you have to go to past broadcasts or 1 second. Let me make sure I'm telling you the proper thing. And that is Truthseekers on DLive. And you simply, you just go to replays and it will play the previous shows. It'll show you all the previous shows that we have there on DLive. So back to tonight's topic. So Ross Coulthart, interesting that he was once it depends on who you ask. I asked a bunch of people in Australia, and some people told me, yeah, he was once a respected journalist. And some people like, he was always kind of a garbage peddler pretending to be a journalist. But tonight we're going to find out, I think, why he went head first into the UFO and alien stuff. I believe it's because he was forced to, because poor Ross Coulthart got caught selling a provably fake story. But it's very disturbing what he did. Essentially, he accused a whole bunch of people in England of, let's just say, because they're going to say it in the video a bunch of times, he accused a bunch of people of having problems with children, sexual problems with children. He accused all kinds of government people in England in his 60 Minutes Australia report. And it turns out it's garbage. The whole story fell apart after it was broadcast. Completely and totally fell apart as being mostly provably fake, using incredibly questionable sources. And let's just say information provided to Ross Coulthart by people that no real journalist would use. For example, if you have a person telling you fantastical things that has a history of mental illness, you probably should be very cautious with using that person or depending on that person for making accusations, serious accusations and allegations against high-ranking government officials in England. But we're going to get into it. So essentially what happens is Ross Coulthart got caught terribly pushing a provably fake, scandalous story, claiming that it was going to be the biggest political scandal in the history of England. Does this sound familiar to you? Because it sounds familiar to me. You remember we did a story called Ross Coulthart's Big Bluff, and that was about his alien big bluff, where he promised conclusive proof of alien technology. But it turns out that wasn't his first bluff. He did an even bigger bluff, and all he had to do to sell that scandalous story and get huge ratings is claim a whole bunch of dudes in England were pedos, and they were doing terrible sex type things to little kids. And all he had to do was play along with terribly problematic sources. And this story, like his alien big bluff, was a huge bluff. Turns out that most of what he reported is completely factually incorrect and provably false. But we're going to get into that because an organization, it was so bad that Media Watch got on Ross Coulthart's butt and 60 Minutes Australia butt. For those that don't know, Media Watch does great work. They sort of report on the fakers and fraudsters in the journalism world, much like we do report on the fakers and fraudsters in the UFO alien world. They do a great job. And it's a short video, but we're going to put up our fair use banner, and we're going to cite fair use here, and we will find out exactly why Ross Coulthart was fired from CBS Australia. Oh, to be clear, language is important. I said that he got fired. That may be not factually accurate. His contract was not renewed shortly after Media Watch showed everybody how fake this big bluff pedo story he did was. So this is a transformative work, by the way. We are going to cite fair use. We'll be playing a portion of this video from Media Watch. 1 second here, friends. We'll get it. I've got it. All right.
But now, let's take a trip down memory lane to examine this 60 Minutes special investigation from July 2015.
Britain's biggest ever scandal is about to explode.
In late 2014, a man known only as Nick sparked an ill-fated investigation by London's Metropolitan Police into claims of torture, child abuse and murder by high-ranking British politicians.
They and I believe what Nick is saying is to be credible and to be true.
The police investigation later fell apart. No charges were ever brought. And then, earlier this month, came this news.
Nick nicked. A man who falsely claimed he had been raped and tortured as a boy by a VIP pedophile ring is to face trial for child sex offences. Allegations by Nick against bigwigs Sir Ted Heath, Leon Britton, Harvey Proctor and Lord Bramall sparked a £3 million witch hunt by police.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Ross Coulthart uses this source, and he's claiming all kinds of, he was abused by all these high-ranking British officials, and he witnessed murders and all of this stuff. First, the police investigation falls apart. They find nothing like he described could be established or proven as real. And then he himself gets busted for sex offenses with minors. Great. What incredible vetting skills Mr. Ross Coulthart has.
Even more significantly, Nick may also face charges of fraud and perversion of the course of justice.
Prosecutors are considering whether he should be charged for allegedly lying about being abused as a child and then fraudulently claiming compensation for the ordeal.
So, what's that to us?
So this person falsely accused a whole bunch of people of heinous sexual crimes against him as a child. And then he sued everybody and got paid all kinds of money. And then everybody found out that the allegations were all false.
Well, without Nick, Australia might never have been treated to that 60 Minutes special investigation, in which the programme's then new star, 5-time Walkley Award winner Ross Coulthart, made this extravagant promise.
Without question, the biggest political scandal Britain has ever faced will be exposed tonight. It involves a secret network of the highest office holders in the land, past and current members of parliament, cabinet ministers, judges, diplomats, even one of the country's top spies. These men are accused of some of the most sadistic child sexual abuse imaginable on hundreds of victims, some as young as 8.
Nick was not interviewed on 60 Minutes, but...
Yeah, and this is where it gets great. So Ross Coulthart just said all of that based on a totally garbage source that was out for profit. He was out for money. And would later be charged with an offense himself against children. Interesting. And this, again, has parallels to Ross Coulthart's big alien bluff. Ross Coulthart learned through this story that he could just say anything, not back it up, and he would get huge ratings for it, and he would just deal with the consequences later. And one might ask themselves, why would you accuse, and by the way, they named people in this report. They named a whole bunch of people in England as being, let's just say, problems with children. I'm trying to avoid saying the P word as much as possible because they say it in this video a bunch of times. Apparently, the YouTube algo does not like that. So this is what we get. We get, as if I needed more confirmation that Ross Coulthart was a garbage peddler. Before he was peddling garbage UFO and alien stories, he was peddling this.
His evidence provided vital support for that remarkable claim. Tonight, we're going to examine that 60 Minutes story, which reported astonishing allegations with very little skepticism or doubt. The 60 Minutes report was built on a number of witnesses whose evidence is now disputed or discredited. In addition, the investigative website Exaro News, on whose work 60 Minutes relied, was severely criticised and then shut down. And Exaro's editor-in-chief, Mark Watts, who made similar claims to Coulthart on Russia Today, lost his job.
This is undoubtedly the biggest political scandal in post-war Britain.
Watts and Exaro claim to have arranged 60 Minutes key interviews, one of whom is known only as Darren, who told 60 Minutes that, like Nick, he'd been abused in an apartment in London's Dolphin Square by VIPs, including one of Britain's best-known politicians.
One of the most powerful.
So the other person that was hyping this 100% fake story gets fired for hyping this story. And, you know, at some point, I think a journalist should be fired for doing something like this. You're going to name names and claim that people were doing horrible, terrible, disgusting, reprehensible things to children without sufficient evidence or proof to back up your claims, and then the claims themselves all fall apart shortly after you broadcast this salacious, scandalous piece that's sure to get huge views, right? And it makes me sad. Is that what we're, you know, is that the goal of a journalist? Well, just do whatever you have to do and get the huge monster views and then deal with the fallout later. The other guy who was hyping this story got fired.
All men in the land, Leon Britton should have been prosecuting pedophiles. Instead, according to Darren and other witnesses, he was one of them.
He likes boys to dress in women's underwear and then to be in a room alone and discover you in women's underwear and punish you for wearing the underwear.
A member of Margaret Thatcher's cabinet.
Yes.
Raping children.
Yes.
So, how credible were Darren's allegations? Well, it turned out they weren't. The police investigation into Dolphin Square, Operation Midland, whose lead officer had called Nick's claims credible and true, collapsed in March 2016 without bringing charges. An official inquiry then found police had made 43 errors and fallen for false claims of abuse.
Yeah, so they literally named someone in this report Ross Coulthart did as being a perpetrator of this. Great. I hope that he sued the balls off of News 7 and Ross Coulthart. I really hope that he did. And there's some mention that his wife got some sort of a settlement, I think, but after he died.
Following year, the Met paid £100,000 compensation to Leon Britton's widow. But Darren's credibility was demolished long before that by this Telegraph report published 2 months after 60 Minutes went to air, and by this BBC Panorama programme a month later, which investigated Darren's past and reported
he was convicted in the 1990s of making bomb hoaxes, and he's also falsely confessed to murder and rape. 2 years ago, he sent an email to a social worker saying, "Leon Britton never abused me or anyone I know." So why name the poor man?
And these are things that a real or credible, especially investigative journalist, would have been able to find. So what happened here? Did Ross Coulthart not vet the person making these absolutely scandalous claims? I mean, these are very serious allegations. He just let that person on the show and just let him say these things. He didn't look into his background. And if he did, he would have found out that that was an incredibly problematic person to be accepting very, very serious allegations from just on face value with no evidence, proof, or backup of his claims.
More to the point, why rely on Darren's evidence? 60 Minutes would argue it could not have known about his history, but there were alarm bells ringing. In June 2015, for example, in the week that 60 Minutes interviewed him, it was evident from Darren's own tweets on an account set up for him by Exaro that he thought police did not believe him.
No one is actually investigating allegations of torture and abuse at Dolphin Square. Police think I'm lying still, it's clear. I've never actually been told by anyone in the police the words, "I believe you."
And a little bit of digging by 60 Minutes or Exaro might also have revealed that police and social services had apparently branded Darren as mentally ill.
Yeah, so this person is branded as mentally ill. And again, the level of irresponsibility here on the part of Ross Coulthart is absolutely despicable, in my opinion. Like, you're going to let somebody sit there and make these claims and you didn't even look into their background? Because if you did, you would have found out that this person had been labeled as mentally ill.
He falsely declared me as suffering from a delusional, paranoid mental health disorder. I'm still waiting for an apology from the police and from social services for falsely declaring me as mentally ill.
Other tweets by Darren in early 2015 might also have raised the alarm.
I am just so terrified of all police now after witnessing one kill a girl in an abuse ritual as a child.
Yeah, and that's something I would call a red flag. If I was going to use this person as a source making these kind of allegations, and I saw he tweeted this, I would cut and run from that person, despite all the rest of the things that Ross Coulthart could have done to vet the source. He didn't vet anything. Just, well, it sounds great. This will get a lot of views. Sit on in here. Come on in. Tell your stories. Sound familiar? A lot like what he's doing now, right?
And there was more. 5 months before 60 Minutes went to air, Darren made the extraordinary claim to Exaro that he had helped a VIP pedophile torture and kill a boy with Down syndrome by tying him to two vehicles and driving them apart. But, setting aside warnings that 60 Minutes might have noticed, Ross Coulthart promised at the end of his report,
"We'll be sure to keep you updated on the progress of the police investigation."
Yet in 2.5 years, they have not done so.
Yeah, and isn't it great? This over-promising and under-delivering. Oh, we'll keep you informed of the ongoing investigation. And then they never did anything because the whole story fell apart right after broadcast, right? The entire story fell apart. This is just like his big alien bluff, you know, where he told everybody we have conclusive proof of alien technology. And now everybody's like, well, where's the proof? Where's the analysis? Excuses. By the way, Gary Nolan gave a whole bunch of excuses on Chrissy Newton's Circle Jerk show when she interviewed him. And we're going to cover that tomorrow night because I love watching these UFO grifters squirm. And boy, did Gary Nolan squirm when he was getting the circle jerk from Chrissy Newton. All right.
Even though Operation Midland collapsed, no charges were laid, compensation was paid to Lady Britain, and in 2017, Darren was charged with making false statements to the police that he'd been shot at, charges which were later dropped. And even though 60 Minutes had promised...
Without question, the biggest political scandal Britain has ever faced will be exposed tonight.
But the concerns did not stop there. The second key witness of 60 Minutes was Richard Kerr, another alleged victim of the VIP pedophile ring.
Today, Richard Kerr is bringing us back to the place where he was taken to meet the men who ruled the country.
Yeah, and here we're going to see Ross Coulthart purposefully manipulating the story to make the story better. Does that sound familiar too? Kind of like lying and claiming Michio Kaku is going to confirm conclusive proof of alien technology, right? He manipulates the stories to make them more salacious, more controversial, more clickbaity. That's the only word I could think of, so that they sell.
So how do his claims stack up today? Well, there's no doubt Kerr was sexually abused as a child, but there are doubts about his story in relation to Dolphin Square, especially as told by 60 Minutes.
Richard was brought here to have sex with politicians and other high-ranking members of the British establishment, including members of the House of Lords.
Are any of them still in the Parliament?
Yeah. Older, very old. Lords.
In reconstructing his story, 60 Minutes placed a young Kerr in the back of a chauffeur-driven Bentley and hired a boy who looked 10 or 11 years old to play his part. But only 3 months earlier, Kerr had told Britain's Channel 4 News in relation to his age...
I could have been 16, 15, 17.
So why did 60 Minutes mislead its audience by portraying him as so much younger? And how credible was Kerr's evidence on Dolphin Square? Last year, Kerr's time at King Cora Boys' Home in Belfast was examined by Northern Ireland's Historical Institutional Abuse Inquiry, which concluded,
there is no evidence to support his claim that he was trafficked to London aged 17.
Yeah, so
the inquiry also noted...
So Ross Coulthart, in order to sell the story and make it more shocking, they get an actor that looks like he's 9 or 10 years old to play him, you know, getting driven to the abusers, when he clearly stated he was 16 or 17 when the so-called abuse or alleged abuse took place. This is purposeful manipulation. He's manipulating the story and using, deceptive practices to make the story better. Does this sound familiar? It sounds very familiar to me because we've seen this in his alien big bluff story. We've seen this already from Ross Coulthart. This is how he manipulates the audience.
In relation to several other claims that Kerr had made.
Having carefully examined all the material available to us, we are satisfied that his more recent accounts are not to be relied upon.
Kerr hotly disputes that verdict on his credibility, as does 60 Minutes. But it's worth noting that in an affidavit sworn in relation to the inquiry in February 2015, 4 months before his 60 Minutes interview, Kerr made no mention of Dolphin Square. So, how reasonable was it at the time to treat Richard and Darren's claims as fact, rather than allegations that needed to be tested? Back in 2014, when the VIP pedophile ring story first came to light and Operation Midland began, an acclaimed UK legal blogger, Matthew Scott, commented,
Nick's allegations about a pedophile and murder ring in high places, if true, are both astonishing and horrific. Aside perhaps from the mad court of dictators like Mao or Ceausescu, it is impossible to think of any modern precedent for such a thing. It would mean that for year after year, senior politicians and other public figures cast aside morality, threw caution to the winds, and, aided and abetted by others, including a doctor, kept a group of teenage and younger boys as their sexual playthings, confident in the belief that nobody would expose them. For some reason, some of them also chose to murder 2 or 3 of these boys in front of witnesses.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's so unlikely that this is true that you would think as a journalist, you would want to cover your bases. You would want to be sure that you had overwhelming evidence that this is true, because these are absolutely fantastical claims. But not only did Ross Coulthart not have overwhelming evidence that all these allegations were true, he had almost no evidence, the word of a few nutters, right? So it's like a carefully constructed fake story, a lot like he's doing now with his carefully constructed fake alien stories.
The reasons to doubt the existence of such a ring are legion.
They were indeed, yet little or no doubt was expressed by 60 Minutes or Ross Coulthart, who told one British MP, Zach Goldsmith,
if it's true, and the evidence suggests that it is, this is, isn't it, the biggest political scandal in British history?
I think that's right.
But the lurid allegations of murder, rape and torture by a VIP pedophile ring were not true, or at least police found no evidence to support them, and there was no scandal. So, what do 60 Minutes and Ross Coulthart have to say?
Yeah, and of course, remember, it's important that we remember, friends, that in the alien big bluff, he blamed News 7, right? He did not take responsibility for literally lying to audiences to get them to click on his garbage peddled stories, right? He literally lied. And then when called out ever on this situation, he blamed them. He blamed News 7. They're the ones who did the promos, right? And oh yeah, those promos were a little sensational. And I call bull on that, because he had to record a voiceover saying all those lies. It's very simple. When they hand him the copy and he reads it and realizes this is all lies, we don't have conclusive proof of anything, then a real moral and ethical person would have simply refused to read that and be used to lie to people. But he didn't. He read the copy that now he's going to claim somebody else wrote for him. I think that he did all of that. I think he wrote the promo. I think he sat there directing the promo to be that deceptive. And I'm entitled to speculation and informed opinion because look at his history here. This is what he does. He manipulates people, places, events, information sources, careful editing, right? And the lie by omission, right? Like, oh, this person says that high-ranking English officials, right? Even up to including members of Margaret Thatcher's cabinet were involved in this child-related ring, right? We have proof. This guy says it, and you just leave out the part that would seem to indicate that the person you're using for a source is a total nutter, liar, grifter, problematic source, right? Same thing, same MO. And apparently Ross Coulthart has not learned his lesson because he literally gets fired, gets his contract not reviewed. By the way, that happened just a few weeks after this Media Watch report came out about how fake that story was. So whose fault was that story? Was it 60 Minutes Australia, or was all of the responsibility for that completely fake, nonsensical, scandalous story here? Was that the fault of Ross Coulthart? They fired him. Didn't renew his contract. It was his fault. He stood there on a camera, right? And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't stand there on a camera on a show that's going to be watched by millions and millions and millions of people if I wasn't damn sure about all those allegations and damn sure that this story I'm telling, this absolutely fantasy land story, is true. He didn't do that. So who can he blame for this one? He blamed News 7 for the alien bluff, right? For those promos being so sensational. He blamed them. Does he blame 60 Minutes Australia for this story being completely and totally fake, made up, deceptive, and manipulated to sell it? Does he blame 60 Minutes Australia? Or does he take responsibility for doing a piss poor job? There are high school newspaper writers that could have done a better job on a story than him. You don't accept absolutely fantastical claims like this and make absolutely reprehensible allegations against members of the public unless you have overwhelming evidence. And he didn't. But we get some excuses. And of course, these excuses from 60 Minutes Australia come out shortly after Media Watch's report and before they let go or refuse to renew the contract of one Ross Coulthart.
Well, they declined to answer 16 detailed questions about their report, but replied with this general statement.
Nine has major concerns that there are both fundamental misrepresentations and false assumptions at the heart of Media Watch's inquiries into this story. Contrary to your false assertions, Nick was not a source or a key witness for our story in any way whatsoever, and no allegation in our story came from him.
Well, we say again, without Nick, there would have been no Operation Midland, and police would never have described the VIP pedophile story as credible and true.
Yeah, and also the other sources that they did use, apparently, that are, obvious that they use these other two sources that are incredibly problematic, deceptive, and manipulated to construct this narrative.
60 Minutes also says it did not just rely on Exaro News, and it tested allegations with police wherever it could.
We made extensive inquiries and believe the story was an important and newsworthy one. We note also that the investigations are by no means over. Many of the allegations raised by these witnesses are still under investigation by the ongoing IICSA, the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse.
That's not a law enforcement agency. That's a nonprofit organization that helps victims of abuse. So the police all dropped their investigations into every allegation they raised in the story.
Now, we're not suggesting for a moment this story should not have been reported, but we are concerned about the manner in which it was done, acting as judge and jury without presenting sufficient challenge to the claims. In our view, this was not 60 Minutes or Ross Coulthart's finest hour, and we believe it's time they updated their audience to tell them that the story has fallen apart.
Yeah, so there we have it. The story fell apart. So now we get to really just questions that I have. Questions that I have for you UFO believer people that like to attack me, right? You people that like to throw shade on me on Twitter because we covered Ross Coulthart purposefully manipulating a story to sell it, right? Those people defended him and said, just like Ross Coulthart, well, it was his job and they pumped up those promos. It was their fault. Great. So we'll give him the one, right? We'll say the Alien Bluff story wasn't his fault. What about this one, which is so much worse? So much worse. What kind of a reprehensible human being throws out those kind of allegations about very well-respected men in another country, in England? What kind of a man stands there in front of cameras and says, this will be the biggest scandal to ever hit the world of English politics ever, when he's got garbage for sources? He had garbage people feeding him fake stories. And was his discernment so bad and his research skills so bad that he could not vet the people telling him these things? Or did he rush to sell this scandalous story because he would profit from it, right? Or did he, as Charlie Weiser suggested, work hard his whole life to get the big gig, right? You finally get that big 60 Minutes gig and you need a big story. You need a big story to stay on top. And he overreached and underdelivered. I know I have been tempted to go too far myself, I suppose. We all can, in that rush to get views, right? I want to report a story as true and accurate, but I also want to report stories that are going to get views. So I can see how the temptation is there. The temptation is always there to perhaps this is why I understand. I understand how some of these people can get into this, right? It's like, we got to get numbers or we're dead in the water here, right? I feel that pressure sometimes myself, but then I just think I'm not going to do anything slimy. But apparently some people's line of slimy is way different than others, right? Maybe it is shades of gray. And there are many, many things that I just wouldn't do that many other people are fine with doing. And let's circle back to the UFO circle jerkers, right? Like Project Unity, UFO circle jerker. By the way, there was a whole thread here, right? Oh, deleted tweets. I'm going to share my screen here. And this is a public Twitter thread. Ross Coulthart, he posts something, of course, about aliens or UFOs. I can't read it because Ross Coulthart blocked me because he doesn't like me asking questions when he gets caught selling provably fake stories and being deceptive, manipulating YouTube and the whole world to click on his garbage pieces. So, of course, I'm blocked because he's a pussy. There, I said it. Ross Coulthart, for an Australian man. I know a bunch of Australian men, and they're like strapping, manly men, like Texans over here in the United States, right? They're like real manly men. But Ross Coulthart is the biggest pussy I've ever come across from Australia. Show me on the internet, or show me on this dial, Ross Coulthart, where Stephen Cambion hurt you on Twitter by asking questions. You intellectual weakling, coward, and pussy. So we've got Recon Strange podcast. It says, Ross, please leave ufology. It's in my not so humble, extremely valuable and important opinion. You have no interest here other than selling unvetted stories to those who think your accent equals credibility. You've been a disappointment. Truth. And of course, we get the Project Unity guy, the circle jerker. How many times have you interviewed Ross Coulthart, Project Unity? How many times have you done the circle jerk, helping him sell this garbage? And how do you feel knowing that he was selling garbage before he ever got to the land of UFOs to sell garbage? Right? Do you feel any differently now? What a load of bullocks. Ross has done more than most, and that definitely includes you. Somebody deleted a tweet. I don't know who did that. Then he says, I've known Ross longer than I've known you, and I back up my friends when they're being needlessly attacked. Not only has Ross been incredibly good to me as a friend, he's legitimately interested in the subject and has garnered incredible contacts and helped push this forward. What is he pushing forward? The line to throw money in his pockets, Project Unity? You dummy. You dummy. What is he moving forward? He put out a book, by the way. He put out a book that was filled with anonymous sources, and trust me, bro, a source told me. Now, knowing what I know about how many times he has sold provably fake, 100% provably fake stories, I completely understand how he ended up in the world of UFOs. He thought he came out with a book and got a big shot of money from you stupid people like Project Unity, who believe anything because it's in a book, it must be true. Go through his book. Show me evidence. Show me proof. Or is it more, trust me, dude, a source told me, and anonymous sources? And the problem that Ross Coulthart is going to experience is that even the believers get tired of believing the bull. And at some point, they want you to put up evidence. But based on his just doing the over-promising and under-delivering with, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. And did he mean this man, Michio Kaku, like he showed in the promos? No, I think he meant this man, Gary Nolan. You know, the guy that's having 3 alien experiences, and he's playing with the ball shavings for months now, and he can't get an analysis. And by the way, we're going to talk about that analysis in full detail tomorrow. And I've got some great sources that are going to tell us how long would it take to determine if something was metal from Earth or metal from another solar system. And it would take no time at all. So Gary Nolan, with all of his excuses, ridiculous. Recon Strange, your answer here is precisely the issue that most of us have come to hate about the field. Do you think it's okay for you to admit that his friendship to you is driving factor in your decisions in respect to his contributions to ufology? WTF are you thinking? He says that's not the case. The driving factor in my support of him is his capability and passion. What capability, Project Unity, you dummy? His capability to sell fake stories? He's got an incredible capability to sell 100% provably fake stories. And you interview him all the time. You are one of his circle jerkers. Do you give him a reach around to do the circle jerk? Or how does this jerk thing work, right? Because he comes on your show, gets you huge views, and all you have to do is pretend that he's not a slime ball, bottom-feeding, garbage-peddling idiot. That's what you have to do, Project Unity. You have to pretend that this guy is a good person. doing good work. And of course, I have to chime in and say, do you support him lying to everyone? Oh, you do, because you didn't call him on his BS. Instead, you helped him sell 100% fake stories. Great job helping him make money selling 100% fake stuff. Awesome. And by the way, Project Unity interviewed him at the time of the big bluff. And he didn't do the credible thing. He didn't do the moral or ethical thing and say even, hey, Ross, maybe you went too far with these promos promising, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man, unquote. No, he sat there, gave him a reach around, did the dirty deed that he needed to do to get him to come on his show, and he helped him sell that clickbait garbage piece. So Project Unity, you're in on it. You're in on the scam. Congratulations, Project Unity. You helped him scam everybody out of monetized views for a 100% provably fake story. Great job, Project Unity. And of course, ask me about Ross Coulthart's ball shavings. This is one of my favorite memes out of this whole story. I'm going to save that one. I have a folder of memes surrounding some of the stories, right? And then Spooky posts the article and the piece we shared tonight, 60 Minutes investigation from Media Watch, and says awkward. So what's Project Unity going to do now? Are you going to help him sell more fake nonsense? Is that what we're going to do? Project Unity is complicit in a scam. Project Unity helped him promote the scam. Project Unity is part of the problem, just like Chrissy Newton, Ryan Sprague, and others are part of the problem, right? Go do that circle jerk, right? Get those views. All you have to do is sit there like a dummy and pretend that these people are credible. Pretend that these people have real and accurate information. They don't, but if you just pretend that they do, don't do any vetting or research of your own, and let them sell provably fake stories, then you get the views and you make money too. Congratulations to all of you circle jerkers, you Chrissy Newtons, Ryan Sprague, Project Unity, calling all beings. Congratulations. You're doing a great job helping scammers infuse this entire subject with laughable, provably fake information, disinformation, and garbage. Congratulations to all of you. I hope you're all making a lot of money helping make this whole subject worthy of ridicule because of idiots and scammy, slimeball, bottom-feeding, quote, journalists like Ross Coulthart. Congratulations, too, especially to Chrissy Newton. Chrissy is on that Somewhere in the Skies podcast with Ryan Sprague, right? And Ryan doesn't want to talk about the time that he deleted my post about the pedo paranormal program director that he worked with and for. I don't know if Chrissy worked with Ryan at the time on Somewhere in the Skies when they were on KGRA, but no, they had to delete that because they don't want people to know that Ryan Sprague does not want anybody to know that he was one of those show hosts that didn't care about that guy, right? But I'm the bad guy here. Because why? Why? Because I expect you to do your job and don't let people peddle garbage. Don't let people shovel garbage into the UFO community. Don't let people fill this whole thing with fake, false, and disinformation. I'm the bad guy because I would prefer that show hosts do at least a decent job of vetting people, vetting their claims, requesting information, right? Now we've got well, it's great. We've got promo bots in the Twitch chat, I just noticed. So what we get now from this examination of Ross Coulthart's history is we get a real education. Now we know. Now I know why Ross Coulthart came into the world of UFOs. Because he was a disgraced shit peddler. He was totally disgraced by that situation. He lost all credibility in the world of, let's just call it, real or traditional investigative journalism. And he was screwed. They didn't renew his contract. And who's going to give this guy a job as a real or credible investigative journalist after he just got caught pushing that bunch of garbage? Who's going to give him a job after they see that he was willing to throw all those men in England, throw all their reputations in the trash, drag those people all through the mud so that he could make money selling a story? Who's going to give him work? Nobody. But apparently somebody did. And that somebody was News 7 Australia, which is sort of like the more fantastical, clickbaity garbage, I'm told, channel in Australia. And Ross Coulthart came out with a book, which is largely based on this. Trust me, dude. A high-ranking government insider told me. Trust me, dude. An anonymous source I can't name because they're afraid to lose their clearances told me this. His book is garbage. He is a garbage peddling, bottom feeding shit peddler. So congratulations. Did all of you UFO circle jerkers who've been interviewing him for years now, did all of you know that he got caught doing that? Because not one of you asked him about that. I would think that a man coming on your show making all kinds of fantastical claims like these Wilson David documents, they're real. The government has crash-retrieved alien technology. I know because people told me. If somebody's coming on your show making claims that fantastical, that the government's covering up recovered alien spacecraft, maybe, just maybe, it would be a good idea to look into that guy's history to see if he's credible. And not one person in the whole land of the UFO circle jerkers showed you what we showed you tonight, that this man is not to be trusted. He's not credible. He is a garbage peddler. And it doesn't matter if he's peddling UFO garbage or pedo garbage stories, right? I'm surprised there wasn't adrenochrome and gay frogs in that story he was pushing. Why has no one in the UFO community showed you the truth about who this man is? Why? I know why. They have not showed you the truth because they're in on the scam. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's a big club, and I ain't in it. So all of these UFO circle jerkers, and literally every single show in the UFO community who interviewed Ross Coulthart didn't show you what we showed you tonight, because that would be a violation of this unwritten agreement between the UFO celebrities peddling the garbage and the facilitators and the enablers that help them advertise it. And that unwritten agreement is, don't ask me about any of the dirt in my background. Don't ask me if I have real proof or evidence. Don't, just let me talk and sell my garbage. And then you'll get views and I'll get a ton more views because I'll do, you know, all these podcasts to promote my garbage. And what about this partner of his? What is it, Bruce Zybel or whatever? Did you know that you were doing a show with a garbage peddling, disgraced man who was willing to throw all those people's reputation in the trash? Why? Because he was too lazy to actually do any actual investigative work, to vet the sources, to see if those people were telling him the truth or probably making up stories. But it's clear now to see why Ross Coulthart jumped headfirst into the UFO community. Because after being completely and totally disgraced as a real investigative journalist, he had nowhere else to go where he could make the same money as he was making before. But then he figured out an out. All you have to do is overpromise, underdeliver, do the Cosmic Con shuffle. Promise people proof of, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man, right? Then you get a Stanford scientist that's willing to use Stanford University equipment, labs, personnel, students to work with him for you, Ross Coulthart, to sell a provably fake story. Where's the goddamn ball shavings analysis? Tomorrow, we're going to go into more details about this. But I will just briefly say that now that Ross Coulthart and Gary P. Nolan have been caught red-handed selling a provably fake story, provably fake. Now that they've been caught and there's no conclusive proof of alien technology, and it's months and months and months and months after that piece aired where they got all those monetized views and then had to take it down because it was such lies. Now that they've been caught selling provably fake story, thanks to our reporting mostly, now that they've been caught red-handed, Gary Nolan is making all kinds of excuses about why he can't just release the results of the ball shavings analysis. He needs many data points. No. If somebody's claiming that's alien technology, Gary Nolan, you're supposed to be an educated college professor. Are you an idiot? Do you know anything about materials analysis? I don't think he does. He's an immunologist. Friends, if someone has a metal sample that they're claiming is alien technology, it's very, very simple to prove whether it's alien or not. You put it in a mass spectrometer, one capable of viewing isotopic ratios of elemental materials. Now, it's a very expensive machine, but I bet you at Stanford University, they've got 20 of those machines. You put the sample in that machine, you get a report, and then it will tell you what elements are in that metal sample, whether it's aluminum, zinc, magnesium, silver, gold, whatever made up, copper, whatever made up the material. The mass spectrometer will tell you what the elements in that sample are. And further, a mass spectrometer capable of isotopic ratio analysis will show you the isotopes. And if you get that report and the isotopic ratios match earthly, aluminum, copper, silver, right? You will know instantly that's earthly metals, because aluminum, all elements created outside of our solar system would have a different isotopic ratio, which would be a key and total, game over indicator that that metal came from another star system. Do you know how quickly and easily any qualified scientist could perform that analysis? In a few hours, maximum a few hours. So Gary Nolan is talking about, well, we need 50 data points because it might be alien, and I need 50 different tests to show you whether it's alien or not. No, he's lying. He is lying. You need one test. One test will determine whether metal is of alien origin or came from outside our earthly solar system or not. The test could be performed in an hour or less by somebody that's not an intellectual weakling. They could have done that test before they put the piece out. Do you think maybe there's a reason that nobody gets to see the ball shavings analysis? The reason is then it'll come to the big letdown. All of this promises of proof, of conclusive proof of alien technology will all come crashing down the moment they release a mass spectrometer analysis with isotopic ratios included. The moment that they release that, everyone will know that they were full of shit. That's why they won't release it. And by the way, I will offer to pay a qualified materials analysis lab to do the ball shavings analysis. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. But if it turns out to be normal earthly metals, Ross Coulthart has to give me my money back, because I'm not the one claiming that's an alien metal ball. He is. And his bullshit sources are. I'll put the money up. And if it turns out to be alien metals, I will apologize. But the fact that it's a 50-pound ball, it's not alien metals. And all of the fakery and fraudery that they use to sell that story, including cutting and pasting stuff from recreations of the ball moving. The ball never moved in the presence of Ross, but he needed to sell that story, so he lied and pretended it did. He is a garbage peddling, hoax promoting huckster. And Gary Nolan is a very educated man. He knows that he can prove in an hour or not whether that metal came from another star system or it's just normal earthly metals. He wants many, many data points so he can still try to finagle and somehow argue it may be alien. That's my personal opinion and speculation, right? And the porn bots have arrived, I guess. All right, so we're going to take some comments and questions from the live chat, and I apologize, get a little heated tonight. This is like, feels like old times, right? Here's what we're going to do. I am going to also, we have to check in with the super chats. We haven't done that tonight. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to remind you how it is that you can help the show. We're a viewer-supported show, and unlike the UFO circle jerk crowd that gets paid to lie to you, we get paid to tell you the truth, and we're proud of that. And but we are a viewer-supported show, and that means that viewers who value a show host and a journalist that will tell you the truth versus one that would lie to you, you know, and I got to say this, you know, if you're looking for fairy tale land, this is not the show for you. Go listen to Linda Moulton Hale or Jimmy Church or Project Unity or Calling All Beings or some of these other bullshit hucksters. You know, if you just want to hear stories, alien stories, you know, I could read you from some science fiction books I got, but I'm not going to claim that they're true stories like all of these people who are defrauding you. They are selling you lies. And I am sad for people who want so badly to believe that these things are all true that they will set aside their discernment. They will set aside all logic and reason, right? In order to believe that a garbage peddler like Ross Coulthart is telling you the truth. This man has been caught multiple times now lying through his teeth to sell a story. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So we're going to remind you how you can help or support the show. And when we return, we're going to read all the super chats. We read every single super chat. We'll read every PayPal donation, Cash App, whatever. Anybody throwing a couple of bucks in our hat, we thank and support you. Read your super chat. If you send it through PayPal, please be sure to add a note and anything you want us to shout out on the show, and we will do. We're a viewer-supported show, and we appreciate all the kindness, generosity, and support of all of you. Here's how you can help us continue the journey.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show.
Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support.
And so we're back, and we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. John P. Adventures is here and says, don't apologize. Thank yourself. Patty Wilhelm is here. Welcome, Patty. Good to see you. Who says, forget Linda Moulton Howe. Watch Star Trek. It's closer to the truth. I agree. Mr. Ian is here. Mentioning that the porn bots are here. Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. Doe Ray says any university lab with ICP-MS will run the test for a few $100 max. I don't know the specific machine, but I know that any mass spectrometer that can do isotopic ratios will tell you whether a metal sample is earthly or not. Interesting that Gary Nolan, who apparently is in charge of multi-million-dollar budget and millions of dollars, and he's in charge of multi-million-dollar laboratories, doesn't know that. He knows that. It's part of the con, right? Azens is here and says, hey, Steve Cambion, good to see you. Hope all is well. Sad. Coulthart was not only negligent, but we need to question his intelligence. He interviewed and worked closely with this guy and couldn't tell. Yeah. Matt81 says he works for media, new networks. Of course, he's peddling BS. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I don't trust anybody that works for mainstream media sources. I don't. And I'm just checking in with all the live streams. I see a few people over there on the different streams. I try to check in sometime during the live broadcast, especially to the ones, for those unaware, most of the locations we stream to aggregate the comments. So if you leave a comment, it will go into my chat and I will still see it. However, Odyssey and Rumble I don't see, so I like to check in with them. We see 3 or 5 people were over on Twitch. Welcome our Twitch viewers. We check in with Rumble and Odyssey as well. A couple people over on Odyssey, and some people have asked about the Rumble channel. I had said that our Rumble channel would soon have every Truth Seeker show. However, it would appear that will happen, but I don't know when it's going to finish. It's only back to June of 2022, and there's hundreds of shows for it still to import. Every time I check in with it, it seems like there is a few more of the shows imported. So just have patience. If you're looking for a total archive of the show, the best place would be YouTube. The second best place would be Odyssey. Rumble will get there eventually. I think they're slowly importing all 750 of our Truth Seekers shows. And yeah, so it'll be there eventually. Any comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Matt81 says, I downloaded Discord. I have no clue how it works. I'm not into tech and media. YouTube is the only thing I use. Discord is very simple. It's like a modern chat room. Modern chat room. And Doe Ray is here. Welcome, Doe Ray. Says, I attended an X conference in DC back in the late 2000s, and Jaime Maussan almost got in a fist fight on stage when another researcher called him out. No joke. Oh, I would love to see video of that. I need to see video of that. Spooky says, Spooky needs $10 million in a plot of land. Well, can't help you, but I know somebody that's got some land. If you ever need a place to live, you'll never be homeless, right? You might be out in the middle of nowhere, but you'll never be homeless, Spooky. And I think it would be awesome if Spooky, once I get that new studio going, comes and lives there for summer or something. If that's at all possible, that would be fun. Yeah, I'll get you an airplane ticket. Better bring warm clothes unless it's summer. Yeah. Luis Caetano is here and just joined our Discord as well. I just noticed, Luis, that one of your videos on Bob Lazar came across my feed, but I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. I'm glad to see that you are still doing work on that. Matt81 says, Steve, I'm curious, what UFO case do you think are legitimate? I know you have an interest in ufology like myself. What cases do you think are realistic? Well, I think that if I had to choose one case that I think has the most evidence, it would be Roswell. There's just so much material on Roswell. So many people saw strange things, including bodies. I just can't imagine that all those people are lying. I can't imagine that all of that can't be. There's got to be some basis in facts. Why are people on their deathbeds telling their children they saw little alien bodies at Roswell in 1947 and more? I always mention that book, Children of Roswell, and it's by Tom Carey and Don Schmidt. I think it's a great book. And I'm sure there's other cases. I do like the Black Triangle flap, and I like the Phoenix Lights. I'd love to know what the Phoenix Lights was. You know, Pascagoula. I used to really think that Betty and Barney Hill might have been a real event, as well as Travis Walton, but Travis Walton not so much recently, right? And I'm sure there's many, many more cases. Unfortunately, in this thing, what we get is we get tantalizing maybe proof. We get tantalizing could be evidence, right? But we don't generally get really good evidence. And that's a problem, right? That's a problem for me. I wish that there was more meat on the bones on a whole lot of these stories, but it doesn't seem like there is. It seems like they routinely give us tantalizing maybe evidence. Tantalizing could be proof, right? And I heard UFO Jesus is now talking about the smoking gun evidence, and he's talking about, let's see, Virginia, and how Virginia, you know, somebody was on his show saying that, oh, it just might be James Fox that's going to bring us this smoking gun evidence. And people are posting videos of somebody talking about they saw that alien footage. Where's it at? Where's it at? Let's see it, right? Let's see it. Let's analyze it. Or was that just hype and garbage to sell a fake story in a documentary? I know what I believe. It would appear that there is no film, there is no video, there is no smoking gun evidence. But that hasn't stopped James Fox from using all of that hype and nonsense to help him sell his stories, right? It's unfortunate. All right, any more questions or comments for me? John P. Adventure says you should do some close-ups when you're getting more involved in exposing these hoaxers. I just gave you an idea. Cheers. We're going to call that the angry cam. Like every time I get pissed off, we'll come in real tight and I can yell and scream at people. Since quitting drinking, I haven't really yelled and screamed on the show, and I'm proud of that. I'm much more in control of my emotions than I used to be while daily drinking, right? Space Exposure says there was never any alien footage associated with Virginia case in the beginning. No. Stories of that just happened to come out right when some guy was selling a documentary. Isn't that convenient? Yeah. Some may call that too convenient. I know I would call that too convenient, right? Newest storyteller, Alan Levine, claims he was part of APRO and an experiencer. Never stops. Yeah, I guess there is a never-ending hunger for the stories, though, right? It would appear that there is a never-ending hunger for the stories, and you're right, it never ends. That and the recycling of old stories. This Virginia case is from 1996. Nobody proved it was true then, and nobody can prove it's a real story now. But we're all just supposed to buy the DVD, right? Buy the documentary. I think I can't remember what I paid for it, but whatever I paid for it, somebody needs to pay me back. James Fox owes me some money. He definitely owes. And I want my money back. Yeah. So what can I say? Leah Prime is here. Welcome, Leah Prime. You can check out Invisible Night School, right? Footy Gangster says you can yell at me if you want. I don't mind. Just saying. This is what I need. People to abuse, right? Brandy Phillips is here and says, show me the money. Yeah. Well, yeah, there is a photo that's an albino monkey that somebody is claiming was the Virginia alien photo or something. Just ridiculous. You know, picture of a white monkey. It's obviously a monkey. Either somebody photoshopped it to be more white. Remember, the alien was supposed to be brown, too. Now it's white and looks just like a monkey. Yeah, I don't understand. Erica Lukes is on the Invisible Night School. That's nice. I tried to get her on my show. She's not answering her phone. Now I'm going to bust her balls. You're going on their show? I try to call you to come on my show. Yeah, so tomorrow night we're going to be covering this Gary Nolan, Chrissy Newton circle jerk. Debrief Media. I'm going to have to dig into Debrief too and see more who is behind that, because it looks like a garbage peddling, it's like a bunch of people who wanted to peddle fake garbage stories about UFOs got together and started the Debrief. Congratulations. Stephen would love to see you get David Paulides on my list. Paulides? I don't know how you say his name. But I have some of his stuff, and he's been on my list for quite some time, right? A lot of UFO grifters are willing to scream, "Show me the money," but never, "I love black people." Oh, that's terrible, Luis Cantano. But you know, it's terrible because it's likely right, right? You're right. Missing 411 guy. Yeah, I'm aware, and that's a story that I really do like. I have the book, and I've seen several different people do. I don't know. One was probably just a YouTube video, but people do stories on this missing 411, right? I think that's one story that is very strange and mysterious, and we've never covered it here. So I would love to interview him and talk to him and find out more. Some people seem to think that that story is not all that it is cracked up to be, and it's just a lot of careful manipulation of data sets to make it look more strange or mysterious. But this guy is a former police officer, I believe, an investigator, and he spent an awful lot of time digging into that, right? And I would love to interview him. Actually, I'm going to put it on my list right now, just so you guys know. I do value the input and opinion of the people in the live chat. Let me see here. I'm going to put that at the top of my list of people to send messages to for interview requests. If anybody else has any suggestions, please put it in all capital letters, and we would appreciate suggestions. I'm open to interview anybody interesting, right? Lewis is going to be on Strange Recon this week, but please watch Tins instead. It's at the same time. The Invisible Night School. The Todd Morden case with the policeman is interesting. The guy found dead on a coal pile. The triangle cases in the UK in the early 1990s and 2000s were interesting. I seen a giant V-shaped craft back in 2014. Well, that is very interesting, and actually, I'm interested in hearing and finding out more about that. I don't think I'm familiar with this Todd Morden case. It sounds vaguely familiar, though. Okay, so now is a good time for me to remind you that besides throwing money at us, one of the other ways that you can help is to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really, really does help. If you're on whatever video platform you're on, please do subscribe to our channel. That means whether you're on Rumble or Odyssey or BitChute, please subscribe, or YouTube, subscribe to our channel so that you'll know when a new show is available and when you too can come here and take part in the live broadcasts. I just noticed Grant Cameron, who some people say had a major meltdown just the other day. He's on Fade to Bull with Jimmy Needs Church. Great. And yeah, I am aware. I got a bunch of messages from people saying, "Oh, look, he changed his format and he dropped commercials." Yeah, because 50% of his show was commercials and people weren't tuning in anymore. He finally figured out that people don't want to listen to people hawking coffee for 50 minutes out of a 2-hour show, right? Great. 1 second here. I'm just checking in with the other live streams. It looks like everything is open and all of the streams are working. Tonight is the first time that we have streamed live to 8 different locations. We're on 2 Facebook locations, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, DLive for the first time tonight. Welcome, DLive people, and Odyssey, all at the same time. Everything appears to be working. And also a good time for me to remind you, if you're listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun. So go on over to YouTube and put Truthseekers, one word, in the search bar. You'll see me, the strange guy with sunglasses, pop up. Go to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live taping on YouTube. We want you to come here and be a part of the live broadcast, which eventually becomes the audio podcast. If you're listening in audio podcast land, we love and appreciate you, but you're missing the live experience. And we want you to come here and be a part of the whole live event every time we do a live broadcast. Go on over to YouTube, Truth Seekers in the search bar. Go there, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and come here and be a part of our live chats. You are most welcome here. Also, if you're listening on one of the alt video platforms that we're now broadcasting to, including DLive, Odyssey, Rumble, or Twitch, please, you guys also come on over to YouTube. Again, Truth Seekers in the search bar. Look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses. Go there, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We love and appreciate all you people on the alt platforms. It's great to see people at every location. It's awesome. I go to Facebook, there's viewers there. We go to YouTube, of course, there's viewers there, but we go to Twitch and Twitter, there's viewers there. Rumble, Odyssey, and DLive, viewers everywhere. And we're just so happy that all of you are tuning in wherever you choose to tune into. You are most welcome. Sandy Smith is here and says, David Pallades does missing people in national forests, but he did an investigation of Bigfoot's research, the Hoopa Project. Yeah, I've heard that. And many people have suggested that an explanation for why people are vanishing in national forests is because Bigfoot is kidnapping them. Yeah. B. Baker says, David Pallades is interesting. I like the missing 411 stuff. I like what I've seen of it, but I have not. Gaza, I remember. Matt was an ex-policeman. Yeah, we interviewed him. He was on the show twice. And he still tweets at me. He was tweeting at me constantly, but now just occasionally, which is much better. Don't tweet at me constantly, please. I don't have time for any of that stuff, right? Well, I don't have time for all of it anyway, right? All right, so any more questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. Didn't police recently fess up to Bigfoot being the likely explanation? I don't think any police officers actually came out and said that was Bigfoot, right? And somebody asked earlier about my absence. I have some things going on, and I had work to do at the cabin and other things going on. And so we did a light week last week, just 2 shows. And going forward, we're going to do 3 or 4 shows a week. No more. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Mostly are financial. I have to do other things in order to, survive the universe. And therefore, I may not have quite as much time anymore. And also, there is stuff that I really have to finish at this cabin during this winter. I have to have that whole cabin done. And there's a bunch of stuff that my wife wants fixed or repaired or upgraded, and it's got to all be done before spring. Because when springtime rolls around, I don't want to be still having unfinished projects at one cabin while I work on building a new one. I want the first one to be everything done. And I mean everything. There's a lot of little stupid things that I have to do, like trim down the seams of the living room ceiling. There's a few outlets that stopped working that I wired. That's probably why they stopped working. I have to put a ceiling fan in the living room. I have a little bit of walls and a ceiling to finish in the bathroom. There's a few little things to finish up in the sunroom. I guess my point is that I'm a little overwhelmed. So last week I just went, I'm just taking it easy this week on the shows so that I can focus more on that. I have to go get, I thought I got everything, and then I realized I forgot a bunch of stuff. So I have to get some materials this week. I want to have everything I need to finish that entire cabin just piled up somewhere and just go at it, I have often done that, pile up a bunch of boards that go on the ceiling almost purposefully so that that's in the way. And then how do we get rid of this pile of crap here? We finished the job. So, yeah, we'll be doing Monday through Wednesday for sure every week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sometimes I will also do a Thursday show. And who knows if things are going well at the cabin and I accomplish something while I'm there, and at night, if I don't have much to do, I will do a broadcast from the cabin, right? Reload with kind and generous $5, and also a kind and generous member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Reload says, hit super chat button. How to debunk Area 51 in 3 sentences. That's a tough one. I would say lots of stories and disinformation, unproven stories and disinformation. That would be sentence 1. 0 credible or verifiable evidence of alien technology or biological beings at the base. That would be sentence 2. And number 3, a plot device used by UFO grifters and con artists to sell fake stories since it began. I don't know if that qualifies, Reload, but that's my best attempt there. And I was assuming that you mean debunking the stories, all the stories of aliens, right? Mr. Ian says, the cabin in the woods live on Truthseekers. Yeah, I try. I know people like it when I do that, but it seems kind of boring to me. I did a few shows from there. I got to go move into the living room and set up the cameras in there and get the living room set up. And I have camera mounts and a couple of things to hang up in there. And I have a big problem with the firewood this year, which I haven't talked about. But I filled the woodshed, but all the firewood is full size. And I thought it wouldn't be too much of a pain. This wood burner I have is not a huge wood burner. So you could put like 1 full-size piece of firewood in there. And then you got to put smaller pieces in. Or maybe you could fit 2 if you're lucky. But then they sort of go out and it doesn't burn well. So I got to cut most of the firewood in half. And I thought that was going to be easy. But it's a lot harder to cut a piece of firewood in half when it's this big and, this wide. So I made a lot of sawdust this past weekend cutting firewood in half. I'm looking for a new wood burner. Not a new one. I've never bought a new anything. Oh boy. And just in time for the broadcast, we're going to share this. People are having a good time with our sort of roast, right, of Ross Coulthart and his fantastical claims that all turn out to be garbage. When your conclusive proof becomes a punchline. Yeah, it is a punchline. Their conclusive proof is a punchline now. Ross Coulthart is a clown. He is a joke. This man is a joke now. And that's unfortunate if he used to be a credible journalist before he started with the garbage peddling. So what can I say, friends? We're going to do also something new here is that we're trying to keep the shows to 2 hours. And there's a reason for that. And that is because Daily Motion has a 2-hour time limit. And we're trying to expand to other video platforms. We're going to be every day after the show. We're broadcasting live every night now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, DLive, and Odyssey. But every night after the show, I have to upload to BitChute, Brighteon, and now Daily Motion if we could keep the show in 2 hours. So we're going to try our best to do that. So I got to bounce on out of here, friends. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be covering Gary Nolan's Circle Jerk by Chrissy Newton of The Debrief. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.